Okay, let's talk about one of the absolute most exciting and honestly, most frustrating frontiers in software development today, scaling large language model applications. Look, if you've been tinkering with AI recently, you already know the magic of getting a model to nail a single task. It's awesome. But the second you try to scale that up into a complex, reliable application, it usually falls apart. So today, we're exploring how an incredibly powerful open-source framework called AgentScope is literally changing the game for developers. We're talking about making multi-agent systems truly scalable, structured, and completely production-ready. But before we get to the fix, we really need to look at the root of the problem. Why do single AI agents just completely fail at complex tasks? It's a massive engineering headache right now. When you ask one single AI agent to be your researcher, your coder, your data analyst, and your QA tester all at the same time, its context window just gets completely overwhelmed. It forgets your instructions, it starts hallucinating, and it just gets confused. It's exactly like a human company, right? Relying on one person to do absolutely everything is just a guaranteed recipe for burnout and a ton of mistakes.
So here's our agenda for today's explainer. First, we'll unpack the multi-agent mess. Then we'll meet AgentScope and see how it actually tames that chaos. After that, we'll dive into testing and tracing, check out some real-world applications, and finally, take a look at the road ahead. Section 1. The multi-agent mess. Why current tools are breaking.
If you're building AI apps right now, I guarantee these headaches sound painfully familiar. First up, tool overload. When you give an agent way too many tools, like calculators, web browsers, database access, the whole shebang, you bloat its context window and it literally just forgets how to use them properly. Second, sync delays. Say your agent needs data from 3 different web APIs. Well, traditional setups force it to wait for the first one to finish before it even starts the second. The whole system just grinds to a halt. And third, unpredictable API failures. If just one external web call fails, boom, your entire application crashes. It is incredibly brittle. And this right here represents the massive paradigm shift we desperately need. We're moving away from the old way, traditional prompt chaining, which is super brittle and a total nightmare to debug, over to agent-oriented programming. Instead of relying on one gigantic prompt, you're creating distinct, highly specialized agents that communicate through message passing. They have their own decoupled memory, and they scale beautifully. And guys, this is exactly where AgentScope steps in.
Section 2. Meet AgentScope, the open-source solution.
So AgentScope was developed by Alibaba Group's Tangi Lab, and it's released under the open-source Apache 2.0 license. It's got a super modular architecture built on 4 foundational components. Think of it like a corporate office. The messages, or MSG objects, that's your universal currency, basically the memos passed back and forth between your specialized workers. Then you have the models, which are the grains. And AgentScope is totally model agnostic, meaning you can seamlessly swap out OpenAI for Gemini or any open-source model you want. Memory is basically the filing cabinet, split into short-term working memory and long-term persistent storage. And finally, tools. These are the specialized pieces of equipment your agents use, and they're kept safely locked down in a sandbox. So how do all these pieces actually move together? AgentScope runs on the REACT loop, which stands for reason and act. It's a clean 3-step process. Step 1, the agent observes incoming information, maybe from a user or another agent. Step 2, it reasons through the problem and generates a reply or decides on an action. Step 3, it interacts with its environment, like calling a web search tool. But here is the real kicker. AgentScope has an incredible interrupt handling mechanism. An agent can actually pause what it's doing, respond to something way more urgent, update its memory, and pivot, all without losing its original context. How cool is that? Now, keeping all this organized is the message hub. Imagine you've got 5 different agents running. Let's say a planner, a researcher, a writer, a reviewer, and a publisher. If you have them all talking to each other one-to-one, you are going to end up with a tangled nightmare of code. The message hub totally solves this by acting like a group chat. You just broadcast a single message, and it gets distributed to all participating agents simultaneously. It massively simplifies those complex, dynamic group conversations and ensures everyone is on the exact same page.
Section 3. Taming the chaos. Advanced engineering features.
Okay, so remember those developer headaches we talked about earlier? Here is exactly how AgentScope knocks them out. With asynchronous and parallel tool execution, if an agent needs to search 5 different websites, it fires off all 5 requests at the exact same time. No more sitting around waiting. Then there's sandbox tool management, which separates the tool definitions from the core reasoning.
This keeps your agent from getting overwhelmed and keeps your real-world deployments completely secure. Toss in built-in fault tolerance, meaning the system automatically knows how to retry or fall back if an API goes down, plus multi-process distributed deployment, and you've got a framework that's truly built for massive scale.
In fact, as the creators pointed out in their archive paper, AgentScope empowers developers to build applications that fully realize the potential of intelligent agents through robust fault tolerance. And that is absolutely crucial. You know, a lot of AI frameworks out there are totally fine for a quick local prototype on your laptop, but the second you throw them into the messy, unpredictable real world, they shatter. AgentScope, on the other hand, was engineered from day one to be legitimately production-ready.
Section 4. Testing and tracing. Beyond pass-fail.
Let's talk observability, because when you're evaluating AI, a simple pass/fail score is practically useless for debugging. I mean, if an agent fails a task, you need to know exactly why. That is where AgentScope Studio and OpenJudge come into play. These toolkits take the raw, chaotic outputs of your agents and turn them into highly visual, interactive charts. So instead of just a flat accuracy score, you're actually looking at statistical distributions with real confidence intervals. You can see exactly how stable an agent is over hundreds of different runs.
The framework gives you two main ways to run your tests. For your day-to-day, local debugging, you've got the general evaluator. But when you need to run massive parallel tests across thousands of tasks, you spin up the Ray Evaluator, which totally leverages distributed systems. And inside the Visual Studio, you can run side-by-side reasoning comparisons. Say an agent hallucinated on step 4 of a 10-step process, you can trace the exact message flow to pinpoint the exact root cause of the error. It completely opens up the black box and brings total transparency to your AI's reasoning.
Section 5. Real-world applications. Show, don't tell. All right, let's look at what people are actually building, starting with one of the most fascinating examples from the source material, the DojoZero Platform. This is a platform built entirely on AgentScope, where autonomous agents run continuously on real-time, event-driven data streams to predict live sports outcomes for the NBA, NFL, and NCAA. It is wild. Developers can run live trials on games that are happening right this second, or they can run replay trials using historical data to backtest their agent strategies. It's essentially this intense, real-time proving ground for multi-agent logic.
But hey, it's not all just hardcore data analytics. Take a look at QuenPaw, which is an open-source personal AI assistant you can run either locally or in the cloud. And then there's PawFriends, which is literally a social media network built just for AI agents. You give your agent a personality, you set it free, and it autonomously posts, comments, debates, and even builds relationships with other AIs. It's a really fun example, but it perfectly illustrates just how robust the message passing and memory architecture of AgentScope truly is. Section 6. The road ahead. Agent-oriented programming.
So, where is all of this going? Well, AgentScope isn't standing still. The core development team is aggressively pushing agent-oriented programming into real-time voice and multimodal interactions. They're moving from Phase 1, which integrates standard text-to-speech models, right into Phase 2, which enables agents to reason over multimodal inputs like images and audio. But Phase 3, that is the holy grail: real-time multimodal models. We are talking about streaming, fully interruptible voice agents that can invoke tools and coordinate with other agents while speaking directly with you in real time with virtually zero latency. We are in the middle of a massive paradigm shift, away from brittle prompt chaining and straight into robust, scalable, agent-oriented programming. You now have access to this incredible open-source framework that handles all the memory, the tools, the communication, and the fault tolerance for you. So the only question left is, what complex problem will you build a multi-agent system to solve? The tools are right there waiting for you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy building.